Did you see the Broadway musical Dear Evan Hansen? Yep, that was the one that featured a high school student's suicide. It was mostly about the feelings of family and the friends he left behind after his suicide. You can't remember all the details? Well, it was a book and it was turned into a musical. Pretty popular, still out today. There's been a lot written about it. You can go to www.supersummary.com, and once you're at the site, just type in Dear Evan Hansen. It is really fascinating what that kid went through. Yes, we need to help one another who have been affected by the death of a loved one from suicide. If someone is intent on harming themselves, we really are powerless to prevent it. If you continue to think or say, if only I had ... gone to his house that day or made him see a doctor or whatever. Well, that's just us humans trying to control an uncontrollable situation that's already happened. I do not believe that suicide is a selfish act or even a choice. I know people say that. I think it's the sign of a mind that needs help. Interviewing lots of people who survive a suicide attempt, they say they really weren't looking to die. They say that they just couldn't keep living in so much pain. Research shows that a high percentage of people who commit suicide are driven by something external, whether it's terrible debt or living without someone they had loved, whether it was a divorce or death of that loved one, or having a serious illness themselves, or having substance abuse issues. Yeah, external reasons. But there are plenty of people who die from suicide who look to us on the outside like they had everything. They had money, they had lots of loved ones, they had professional success. So it looked to us on the outside, as I just said, like their life was grand. But we can't begin to understand what it's like to have suicidal tendencies. Clinical depression is a very serious illness, and definitely it leads to suicide at many times. Just as we really don't know about what causes suicide, we also know little about how to prevent it from happening. It's easy to fall back to thinking that you'd helped Willie once, and if you'd only been there this time, he wouldn't be dead. But it's not that simple at all. Think about new hospitals. They're being built with big mental health units. The thought that's going into how do you build that building, that wing, that floor, to prevent death by suicide is enormous. The discussions include the doors, the lighting, the bathroom fixtures, the cabinets, the windows, you name it. And once they're all built, they're staffed by medical personnel who are all trained to prevent death by suicide. Yet even with all that care and constant surveillance, people in those institutions will still find a way to die by suicide if they want to. Do you want to become more aware of mental health programs? A start for you might be to go to www.mentalhealth.gov. There's a large section on suicide and suicide prevention. You can't blame yourself, nor can you blame Willie. You might have stopped a particular moment from happening, but if Willie or anyone else who really wants to commit suicide, they'll find another time, another place to do it. Yes, there is quite a stigma to suicide. We say things like, "He was a suicide," Or we say he committed suicide. Committed? Like you commit a crime? I never heard anyone say he was a heart attack or he committed a heart attack. The answer is Willie died by suicide. People seem to suggest that suicide doesn't happen in good families or to good people. But it is not so rare and not shameful. But it's the cause of death. And it needs to be discussed. If you're open enough to do that, you will learn about so many other people who have been affected by the death of someone they loved by suicide. Yeah. Wow. You really feel that Willie's family wasn't getting the same kind of support that other friends you have known whose relatives die from some disease? Yeah, well, that's pretty good observation. Statistics show that what you're noticing is very true. There's less funeral attendees. Hey, some families don't even hold funerals because the person committed suicide. There's less sympathy cards and whatever. There's, I guess, a belief that the dead person brought this on themselves. No! No! A death is a death and it deserves mourning. And yes, you're grieving. Should we be doing more to prevent suicide? Well, yeah, of course. Should we raise awareness about mental illness and how it can cause our own minds to turn on themselves? Maybe since you knew Willie so well, you can bring up the topic of seeing what you and his friends and family could do to get more discussion on suicide prevention into our community or the school or on social media. What do you think? That could be a way you can celebrate Willie's life and work to help others. I am here ready to listen and share, Juan. Reach out any time. I mean it. Love you. Please take care. Bye. And you listeners, please make sure you subscribe and tell others to find helpful information on this channel. You could help me get the word out. That'd be great. Thanks.